What's up, guys? This is Kyle with the Better Marketing with Video podcast. In this episode, we had Nicole Grodesky on. She is an SEO specialist. She has her own SEO business, and I worked with her in the past. We worked at a prior company together, and she was just an awesome person, big surfer out of San Diego, but she's extremely passionate about SEO, like very passionate about it. So, we're all about creating content, or we're all about ultimately trying to help marketing departments, people in marketing departments. We specialize in video, but SEO is a giant part of that as well. So I thought she'd be a great person to help provide some value and also connect the dots on how you can better use video for SEO purposes and all those things. So I personally got a ton of value out of this conversation. Obviously I'm marketing my business. This is all stuff that's relevant to me, that's relevant to all of us. So if you're in a marketing department, if you run a business, or if you're in that world at all, I think that you should have a listen. And Nicole does a great job at providing really useful takeaways from all this. And on top of that, kind of just a better understanding of SEO and this thing that, I think sometimes people can think of as over our heads or this techie thing, but she breaks it down in a really simply way. And I think you'll get a ton of value out of it. We worked together at a past job, and I always knew that you were super into SEO. You obviously that was your role there, but you crushed it, and you were passionate about it. So, I think that's why I thought having you on this would be awesome because you have such a passion for it. You are amazing at it. Have your own business with it now, and I thought that it'd be some good, useful information for people that want to know more or pull some tips or maybe some introductory stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Happy to share my passion and, everything that I've learned along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk like super high level, just in your own words. Can you tell us what is SEO? Just in your own words, just to kind of sum it up for people and kind of give it your own spin.
Sure. Yeah. It's free traffic to your website. No, but really it's, what I tell people is I optimize websites for to show in Google search results. So for organic search. So it's basically, how can you get your website more visibility, in Google, because people are constantly using Google. It's the largest search engine. And it's kind of like, just putting yourself out there as a business and getting seen by potential customers.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's just allowing more people to have access to and visibility to you through as a business.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and being seen on one of the biggest platforms there is, which is Google search engine.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's we always are on Google, and that's obviously all businesses and the way we search through things. I guess then how can a business leverage SEO? What are some good practices or ways to kind of get involved with it?
Yeah, sure. So there's a bunch of different ways, kind of depending on what your business is and what type of business you have. So for example, if you're a local retail shop, brick and mortar, you're going to want to definitely have a Google My Business profile, and you're going to want to have a local SEO strategy. So people can find your business and can find you, can see where you're located, and can come into your shop. Another thing another way that companies can leverage SEO is if you have a e-commerce site and you're selling products online. So you're not brick and mortar, but you're online. You need to optimize your product pages. You need to optimize your website. So finding those target keywords that people are searching for to hopefully compete against your competitors. So for example, I'm working with Mamala wetsuits, and they're very niche. They're women's or surf wetsuits for women. So her competitors are pretty large, right? They're like O'Neill, Body Glove, and they're taking advantage of ranking. So she needs to get her site optimized so she can compete with her competitors and be found.
Mm-hmm. For a business that is maybe in a space that has lots of other types of businesses, maybe not like a local business, let's say it's like a computer product or something like that, because there's so many businesses and so much out there, how possible is it to be able to make some of these changes and actually be able to make a dent, to be able to show up and actually have it work for you? Like, how is that like a fucking, giant journey, or are there little things you can do to actually move the needle?
There's actually little things you can do, absolutely. So I just published a blog actually on how to do an SEO audit or SWOT analysis, like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So a lot of websites already have current rankings. They're ranking further down, and like all they need to do is dig into that, into those positions, and look at those pages and optimize them. And sometimes I even say, like, all you got to do is like sneeze at it, like it's so close, just like little touch here, optimize the title tag, optimize the meta descriptions, put some internal links in, refresh the content, and republish it. And sometimes that's just enough to move the needle to get their top core navigation pages ranking higher in search, and getting more clicks and potential customers to their website.
So it sounds like just being mindful of all the different things that are out there to do. That way, if you are aware of some of these different keywords, these different things that you need to do or can do, then ultimately you put those things in place, and it'll just help make that change to get you to show up or be in someone's search.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of brands out there that have great products, that have really good backlink profiles and with a like high domain authority. And they're not leveraging their brand equity. They're not taking advantage of creating content around products and services that they're trying to sell. And they're kind of leaving money on the table, as I say, because every keyword that you're ranking for organically has a cost associated with it. And that's, sometimes people think it's just easier to pay for it because SEO takes too long, or it's not a sure thing. But paying for keywords isn't sustainable in the long run. So really, ideally, you want to try to rank organically for as many keywords as you can, and then supplement it with some paid search ads.
And if you're trying to show up organically with some of those keywords, does that literally just mean like, when I think about it, going back to like my first introduction to it was like, oh, it's a blog post. I write a blog post and have that keyword in it. Like, what are some of the different ways that you should be putting those keywords like on wherever they would go, and to actually help make the difference so those keywords resonate with Google or come up with Google and actually make that happen?
Yeah, so what I've been doing, I've been using a content optimization tool for many years now. It's called Market Muse. It scores your content and compares it to the top 10 results in Google, and it shows you the gaps in your content. So really, it's not like adding a keyword 3 or 4 times. It's adding more topical relevancy to your blog post or your product page or your service page, and making it more relevant to the query or the target keyword that you're trying to rank for. So Google has updated their algorithm. They've been using AI for a long time to kind of like understand, kind of semantically in a lexicon way, what the page is about. So contextually trying to understand, words on a page, the more you can help Google understand what your page is about, what your topic is about, what your product's about, what your service offering is about, then it sees it as more relevant to the search query. It's just trying to match, right? It's just trying to like match the best web page to their user's query, which is the searcher, the person doing the actual typing and researching.
Interesting. I love that, because to your point, is not just adding like 4 extra keywords. It's thinking about like the broader picture and making sure that what you're putting on your website is coming up as relevant and useful for the person searching. So it sounds like it's just doing a better job at understanding who your audience is and what they're searching for, to then be able to speak to them more directly. And then, so to that point, if that's correct, then it sounds like it's almost even just a better tool just to understand your customers, to be able to connect with them better and make sure you're putting out your messaging from a general marketing perspective to align with how they think and what they're thinking about and searching for.
Exactly. It's a little bit of a data-driven approach, but it also helps you write better. And you said it when you said speaking to your customer more directly. It's that, and it's also like back to the college English days of like writing explicitly. Like I remember getting a lot of feedback from I had a really tough professor. I'm scarred. I'm traumatized. No, but like he really did push me to be a better writer, and he was just like, I need you to write more explicitly. And I was like, okay, how can I write more, explicitly? But really that's what Market Muse does. It really helps you speak directly and write more explicitly about your product. Sometimes marketers, and I'm sure so many marketers can relate to this, you become so close to your work and it's hard to take a step back. But this tool is kind of like that second, person reviewing your work, making you kind of take a deeper look at what you're missing, basically, or what you could add.
Yeah, totally. A little off topic, but the main thing that we focus on are video case studies at Culture Media House. And one of the things why I like them so much, or they can do really well, is because if you're a brand and you're just always putting out, your messaging, your voice, talking about your product, it tends to come out very similar. And we're so close to our products and our services that we see it through a certain viewpoint because we're so close to it. So hearing it from a third party or a different person talking about it, it's refreshing, and it can resonate with other people because not everyone is in your world. Not everyone, speaks that same language and has the contextual information to understand why you're talking about it in this way. So back to what you're saying, it's cool that it sounds like that tool then helps you speak more directly to your audience and do it in a well-written and sounding way.
Yeah, it's basically telling you like, here's what, their customers are kind of like also searching for, like also looking for. Here's the commonly asked questions, and here's also what the competitors are using. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tools now that really help us SEOs optimize web pages. Before it was kind of like you were just feeling around in the dark and you're like, I'm not really sure. I guess I add a couple the target keyword 3 times and bold it and do some links internally. And sometimes in the past that might have been enough. But nowadays there's so many websites, there's so many pages for Google to crawl and index. It's become more and more and more competitive. So you have to have an always on SEO strategy, or else you're just going to get dusted,
Yeah, completely. So can you get into a little bit about how, SEO and thinking about it, how does that fit into the broader content strategy or the wider content strategy?
Yeah, I mean, content is king, and really that's where, SEO started. Like I got started with SEO with journalism. And really it's the way there's so many analogies to use, right, in SEO, because people think it's like technical. Oh, it's so technical, but really it's not. Just think about like Google's search engine as being kind of like the ocean, and your website is like you're casting lines in the ocean. You're trying to hook a fish kind of thing. And you're casting a net. So the bigger net you have, or the website, more pages you have, the more likely you are to bring in new traffic, new customers, catch more fish kind of thing. So having a strong content strategy is really important to really expand your overall reach with organic search. It's critical, yeah.
So if you're saying like a cast a broader net, are you just referring to like more pages on the website, or what are all the things that you're referring to when you say cast a wide net like that?
Yeah, like so when you publish a blog post, that's a new web page on your site. So thinking about your blog as a way to expand on what your website is about. So for example, you're an e-commerce site and you're selling shoes. Maybe you have sneakers, you have dress shoes, casual shoes, whatever. So you have a different category of like running shoes, not necessarily running, workout shoe, sneakers, like Nike, and you're gonna have like blogs that are like, best shoes for CrossFit, or best shoes for hiking or whatever. And so you're linking to your product pages, so you're becoming your own marketer on your own website kind of thing. So right now, like for example, I develop Boho SEO and I've got my service pages, and on my blog I write a lot about like how to do things, like how to do an SEO audit. What is a SEO campaign? How do I set one up? Why is it important? So like understanding all the questions that people are asking about your products and services, and then answering them in like maybe a longer form way, a very optimized, very strategic way, and then linking back to your product and service offering. The idea really is that like high tide raises all boats. So the more traction you gain with your blog posts, the more rankings you get with your non-branded type keywords, that will lift your brand, that will lift your brand equity, that will lift your product and service pages that have more competitive transactional type queries. For example, buy running shoes now. That's a really transactional keyword, and it's going to be a lot more expensive or competitive and expensive if you're doing paid search, because you're competing against top brands like Nike, Adidas, Puma. So you just want to make sure that if you're a smaller brand, that you're competing in other ways to kind of work around competing directly with the big brands.
Yeah. Going back to that shoe analogy, it sounds like, when you have these Adidas, Nike, these giant businesses, I can see how challenging that would be to try and, play with them in that same ring, step in the ring with them, because they probably have such a presence in that space. But it sounds like you're saying by creating a lot of different like blogs or different things that are relevant to your audience, and going back to first what you said about understanding what they're searching for, understanding what are the things that they want, and then maybe being able to like niche down a little bit to try and find a gap or a hole, and then answering a lot of those questions in that space, because then that might give you a shot to be able to be, and if someone searches something relevant to now this new area that you put a lot of stuff out to, there's better odds that you'd be someone that your business would then pop up. You then have things linked back to your product page, etc., and then it gets you in front of people more quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, I say that it's really smart and strategic to start with an SEO strategy type content piece first, or to at least have that worked into your overall content calendar across all your different social media channels. So say you're building out a social media content calendar, you should have like a section for your SEO articles, blogs that are being published. You can always slice and dice it, in many different ways you want. You just take what you've written and then you put it into like an image carousel or a quick video, and then you link back to your blog or link back to your website, but you use social media as a way to distribute your content. But you're a self-publisher, so these days brands just have to think of themselves as the self-publisher. I mean, PR plays a big role, and it has for a long time, to get brands publicity. But with the digital age, brands are their own publishers now. Like, look at what Red Bull did. Look at like GoPro. Like, Red Bull has like Red Bull TV. You know what I mean? So that's just like a perfect example of SEO on steroids. Like when you just look at yourself as you're the publisher. Your brand is the publisher. You are the voice, and you can, publish as many pieces of content as you want, and you'll become this huge. You might even become a media company. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, look at social, like Instagram and TikTok and all these things. Everyone is posting so much content, and it's nuts because it's the way that I learn about most brands. Especially like things around work or hobbies or whatever. I don't watch a lot of TV, so like the ways that I typically find out about brands and businesses or clothes, it tends to be through like social media sites, whether it's going to be like LinkedIn through a podcast, Instagram through a paid a sponsorship thing. Like, these things just kind of end up coming across your feed. Like, things have changed in the way that we learn about businesses, and it's, I love what you talk about, and kind of like thinking about that broader strategy to pull everything together to then give your business or a person's business the best odds for, being able to step into the ring and play. Other thing that I like that you said too is like making sure the SEO fits into like a social calendar. Everyone's creating content. Everyone's creating stuff for Instagram or social or whatever it is. And I think that, since we're already pushing there, it's like, okay, how can this connect? How can I repurpose this content? How can I pull this back to a blog post so then it helps the web traffic? How can I bring it into these other ways and get the most use out of this content to distribute it in a lot of the ways that you just mentioned?
And social media serves its place. For SEOs, it really just started off as another way to get backlinks. Like, I'm going to create this social media profile and I'm going to link. They offer Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn. You can link back to your website, and those are great links to have back to your website, right? Not only that, but it offers a way to talk about your brand and your website, and you can also share stuff on Facebook and LinkedIn that will link back to your blog or your website, and that's a way to get visibility. It's a way to get traffic to your site. So another thing I wanted to bring up is, like, social media channels are also really great for brand awareness. So yeah, it's great for brands to be spending money on those platforms, doing ads, also posting organically. So when someone searches for your brand name, of course, they're probably going to open up a browser and search in Google. People still do that. Like, people are still wanting to go directly to the website versus via a Google search, a Google like branded search.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, like, if you're promoting your content across social media channels, and then like time goes by and you're researching, best shoes for a wedding, best men's shoes for a wedding or whatever, and your website's blog pops up and they're like been introduced to your brand once already, so now it's like a second touch point. So I always like to think of SEO as like a touch point, and a lot of times it's top of the funnel and it's bottom of the funnel, because people are searching for things, researching things that they've never heard of. That's more top of the funnel type stuff. They might not purchase right away, but I often say digital marketing is like dating. You don't ask someone to marry you on the first date. It's rare that somebody's going to probably buy something from you from reading like a tip on a blog. But if they keep researching something and your website keeps popping up and they've touched your brand like 3 or 4 times, then they're more likely to do business with you.
Yeah, completely. And that goes a lot back to what everyone says these days of like provide value, and be able to put things out there for people to grab onto. And, a lot of what we focus on is B2B, and that can be a very long sales cycle and marketing cycle. So, providing value over time allows people to then maybe through one blog post to go, oh, okay, there's a first touch point. And then, a little down the road, maybe it's social media, maybe it's on the website, whatever that next touch point is, but it's kind of putting those different things out there. And again, I keep going back to this, but I love what you said in the beginning about like understanding your market better. So using a tool like you mentioned to understand what are people searching for relevant to your product, what are they asking? And then let's help answer those questions. So now when it comes back to writing the blog post, which then will stem into social media posts, let's answer some of those questions for people because we know they're asking them. We know the answers because that's our space. Let's answer those questions and then create value. And maybe that value will then turn into that initial touch point.
Yeah, exactly. And something else, like what you were saying when you were talking, made me think about how Google's really leaned into this, I don't know what you would call it, like almost like algorithm update, but it used to be EAT. You probably heard me talk about it at Lewis, but expertise, authority, and trustworthiness is what EAT stands for. Well, they added another E, so now it's EEAT, and that's experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So, by creating those videos, like what you're doing is you're really leaning into that experience, that trustworthiness. So like anytime that you can, a brand can be adding that type of value to their website or any kind of content that they're creating, that is huge for Google. Google loves to see that. There's a lot of like social media influencers. There's a lot of people out there offering advice on all kinds of things, and the more authentic you are, the less AI generated you are, the more authentic you are, the more trustworthy you're going to seem. So authenticity really is becoming more and more important in digital marketing, especially in the time of AI. There's a lot of web spam out there. Google's like really trying really hard to make sure that there's, because there's a lot of SEOs out there, trying to see, okay, now it was basically like unleashing the Kraken, you know what I mean? Like people were out there coding and creating AI generated pages to see how much traffic they could get. And Google was playing whack-a-mole trying to like smash it all down. And then during that time, we saw a lot of sites rise out of the ashes, like the Phoenix, like with like Reddit became really popular again. Quora became popular again. And we're also seeing like social media platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. They're all ranking in Google again. Google kind of tested those up and down, you know. They didn't really, I don't think, because it's a third-party platform, it's gated. You have to log in usually to see the content. So they were kind of testing, showing those results a lot back in the early, like mid 2000 or like 2015 era. And it kind of went on to the wayside, but now we're seeing like with this emergence of AI and Google, this really trying to understand like, is this a person speaking or a bot speaking? And they're kind of like trying to figure it out. So we're seeing more and more, you know, having that authentic voice and that trustworthiness added to your SEO content strategy is also adding value to brands as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because today so many people just leverage and lean into AI because it can save time and all that stuff. But everyone's doing it. So to that point, now using an authentic voice and having that come across in your content is a time when it can serve you better than ever. Is that right?
That's exactly right. If you can use your experience and talk authentically, that's what I'm doing for my blogs. Like I'm not letting AI write my blogs, and if I do it just to test it out to see what it's going to generate, I'm like, no, like that's not usable. Like that's not what I want to say. So you know, there's a time and a place I think for AI maybe helping you write outlines, you know, like so you don't miss something maybe, you know, in a section of your blog. But yeah, really leaning into that experience. Like, and so video is really important, I think, for that too. Like doing, you know, not only writing a blog post, but turning it into a video. And so for example, my, you know, how to do an SEO audit, I wrote the blog. Now I can do like kind of a training video and publish that to YouTube. I could take that YouTube video and embed it in my blog. So now I'm like, I'm a real person. I'm a real human. It's not AI generated. You know, I've got my voice and my likeness speaking to it. So that makes my brand as a whole more trustworthy. People can connect with me. They're like, oh, she's a human. She's there for me. She's going to help me. I'm going to lean on her experience. I'm going to lean on her, trust her kind of thing. So yeah, that's definitely, I think that should also be at the forefront of the content strategy as well.
Yes, I love that you kind of took that step into talking about YouTube. And I know you mentioned it being the second largest search engine. You know, how does YouTube fit into everything we've talked about? You know, you just touched on it, but if you could just expand a little more about it and how people can and should be leveraging video content to help this overall picture of what you're explaining.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, YouTube is the second largest search engine, right? Compared to Google. I mean, there's way more people searching on Google than there is YouTube. However, they're searching similar queries as they are, you know, in Google. They're searching like how-tos, and they're looking for tips and tricks and shortcuts. And, you know, if your product or service offering can answer those questions, like, I don't know, let's say you're a local spa cleaner guy and I just got a new spa and I'm like, how to, you know, keep my spa clean. And you just do a video tutorial on that. And I'm searching in my area, I'm going to probably want to watch a video and then you might pop up. And that's like great, you know, that's good advertising, good marketing for you. But it's very similar to that. Like if you have like a search query and you're going to create content on your website, if you can create video content to go along with it, and host it in YouTube, because that's also a search engine, there's a good chance that your YouTube video will rank not just in YouTube, but also in Google, because some people don't know this, but Google owns YouTube. And, you know, it's a little bit of a slippery slope there. It's probably why they've gotten in trouble over time, and had to pay some fines, because it might look like a little monopoly. But to the brands, it's to your advantage because you can leverage YouTube now as a tool to be found in organic search.
Okay. If you're putting out content like this, like we're talking about, you're adding some videos to YouTube, you're then adding those YouTube videos to your website. Maybe it's somewhere on the homepage, some are in some blog posts, they're scattered through your site to help try and build the traffic like we're talking about. What are the ways that you would recommend like testing or learning how things are doing well? Like, how do you tell like what's working, what's not? Like, what are some of the ways to benchmark or look at stats to find out what's serving you and what's not?
Yeah, I mean, so I use a tool like SEMrush to track my keyword ranking. So every page must have a purpose. That's what Google says in their content guidelines. To me, as an SEO, I interpret that as it should have like a keyword, because that's the purpose of the page, is to be found. And so, if you have like your content calendar, SEO content calendar, and you're creating all this content, then you create a video for it, you can track those target keywords. And then they will show you how you're ranking and how you're performing. And they will also show you if your video is ranking in the search results, because there's these rich snippets or featured snippets is what they call them. So the search engine result page in Google is no longer just text results, right? It's images, it's videos, it's image carousels, video carousels, it's answer boxes. There's so many different ways that you can show up in Google now. So you can track your keyword to see, okay, is my web page ranking, or is my video ranking, or are they both ranking? And you can also, there's some tools out there where you can track how your keywords are ranking in platforms like YouTube. So you can add that on. If you're really focused in on that, you can add that on. But then you also look at your Google Analytics traffic, and you want to like drill down into those pages that you're working on, that you're testing, create maybe a different reporting dashboard in GA4 for that, so you can zero in on your specific content that you're very focused in on, and see what kind of traffic it's driving. So rankings and traffic.
Nice. And I love that because I think it's really easy to just, with everyone creating videos and like talking about views and things like that, it gets really easy to get caught up on saying, okay, this got X amount of views, and either getting overexcited about it or maybe discouraged, when you shouldn't be discouraged, because it's not, if you made a how-to video on to your point before about like the hot tub cleaning, maybe you didn't get a lot of views off the bat, right? Not a lot of people like found that immediately, but it's helping your overall brand awareness. It's doing a lot of other things. It's not just about the amount of views that got you one time, but the accumulation of this marketing effort that you're doing is making a difference in other ways. So sounds like by using some of the other tools, like you were just mentioning, you can see the other ways that it's benefiting, the other ways it's serving its purpose and helping you get your brand awareness out there.
Yeah, I mean, there are ways that, so you can look at like how many views it's getting in YouTube, but like let's say you embed your YouTube video on your website, and you got a spa cleaning business, and somebody watches the video on your blog, that could impact your user behavior metrics, and Google will see, there's more time on site. People are like looking around at your website. So they'll see that as like a quality metric. And, that to me, that's always been kind of a latent, like secondary kind of ranking factor. But they do like to see users engaged with your content, much like social media is very similar. Like the more engagement you get, the better rankings, the more visibility you're going to get.
Because someone goes to the website, they scroll down, and then rather than jumping into a bunch of text, they go, oh, there's a video. I'll hop in there and watch that. So then when someone lands on that site, Google goes, oh, they got on the site, they scrolled down, and then they spent a minute and a half engaged with it, spend a minute and a half, and spend that time there instead of just clicking out or clicking through. So then Google's going, okay, cool. Like that site provided value to this person that just landed on it.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. That's awesome. In terms of video, are there any other, tips or recommendations or just general rules of thumbs that people should be thinking about? Because if you think about, even why we have this podcast, it's ways to leverage video to help overall marketing efforts. That's kind of the goal. We do video and we want to help teach people how to better leverage video. So with the goal of helping a marketing team, and with using video, do you have any rules of thumbs or tips on how, in regards to SEO, what we should do when thinking about creating videos, when thinking about the strategy, the length, just wherever your head goes with it, like any just general tips around content creation in regards to video with SEO in mind?
Yeah, so definitely want to have like some keyword research to start with. Like it's very similar to creating that blog. You want to have like a target keyword or target search term. So a little analysis, a little market research, whether it's looking at competitors, looking just at your overall website, looking at what's ranking. Maybe a video will be supplementing a current blog that's struggling or something, or a product service offering that's struggling. But definitely starting with a little research first, try to figure out that target keyword, and then research the commonly asked questions around that target keyword, and then answer them in your video. Because I don't know if you've seen it, but like when you Google how to do something and you get video results, Google can like show you exactly where in the video it's going to be answered. You can like skip to that, right? So think about that in mind too. Is like, I'm answering a question, like Google's actually scanning my videos, and they know they can direct somebody directly to that point in my video, right? There's some other things to think about. Jump cuts are really popular. You'll see a lot of YouTubers do that. Lighting's really important. Background music's really important. Anything to keep somebody engaged. Like I was watching a video on how to become a TikTok affiliate marketer the other day. This guy was like doing this like full step-by-step how-to, and he had like these really nice glow lights on in the background, this cool like jazz music. I'm like, I'm paying attention to all these things, and this guy's just a genius marketer because he had affiliate links to all of those products in his YouTube video, like to Amazon. I'm like, this guy's crushing it. So yeah, just those are some things to keep in mind. Users pay attention to that stuff, and yeah, it works.
Nice. So. Yeah. I love the attention to detail there, and what it can do. But one of the ultimate key takeaways that you've been saying, and I love it, almost like kind of demystifies SEO a little bit, because it is something that is so easy just to think of as this like techie thing that is over our heads, and so you don't even touch it, or you don't put effort or think about it as much. But it really, in an essence, is just being mindful enough to go, okay, let's figure out what our audience wants. Let's understand that. And then let's learn how to communicate better with them, and then create things around it that SEO or that Google will then, favor we're doing it. But it's understanding that audience and then creating things to then better serve that audience in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, it's also like getting your audience to trust you. And so in order to get your audience to trust you, you have to be there when they need you, right? So like, I feel like SEO is just digital marketers trying to befriend everyone and people, and like social media is kind of like it's like almost more like at you all the time. Whereas SEO, people have to actively search for you, right? And so if you lean on your experience, you lean on your expertise, hopefully you'll come across as a friend versus like someone trying to sell you something or tell you what's cool. It's like you're creating a relationship with them, and yeah, you're answering their questions. And like any good friend, if a friend comes to me with a question, or they just need someone to talk to, I'm going to be that friend, and I'm going to be there for them. SEO is kind of the same way. You're just trying to be there for your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great perspective to have with it. I love that. It's just a really solid overall takeaway. Again, going back to these just being like these core marketing, almost like ethics or core marketing beliefs, and that is in essence, SEO.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, a lot of people who get into SEO get into it because they have a journalism or writing background. That's usually how they get into, not because they're technical. There's some people that are strictly technical, and technical SEO has a time and its place, but I'll tell you what, I'm not a super techie person. I'm not a coder. I'm more on the content side, right? But I have learned about technical SEO because I have to. I could kick it off to somebody else, but I'm the type of person where I want to learn a little bit of everything and be that all arounder. I've built websites to teach myself tech, but to me, the core of SEO really is content and content strategy and understanding your audience. Is just good old fashioned marketing.
yeah.
You know?
And I'm getting kind of near the end of the things that I had for you, and kind of the topics
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to hit on.
Cool.
One of the last ones though is about changing times. Obviously, the
Mm-hmm.
way people learn about brands is changing. The internet's changing. Social media. It's it feels like every year there's something different, and the way people communicate and market and et cetera are different. Uh, what kind of transition have you seen with SEO over the past few years? And then what do you see moving forward with it, and how should we be thinking about it differently?
Yeah, to me, the more SEO changes, the more it stays the same, you know. But I think that the biggest thing really is, with AI, and people, trying to game the system. Everyone's always going to try to game the system. Like back in the day, it used to be links. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get a bunch of links to my website, and then they all turn out to be bad, and then Google put down manual penalties on that. So everyone's going to constantly try to game the system with SEO, but really what wins in the end is going to be that, like I said, that EEAT, that expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness. So anytime that you can lean into your authenticity as a brand, that's going to be key as a marketer in any of your channels. Because I really do think that if you start with that, it will kind of follow you through your tone of voice and your overall brand equity through all your different channels, right? So I would say don't get distracted, by all the cool, different things that are happening. Like really just always go back to the basics and make sure that you're being authentic and you're leaning into that experience. There might be people within your organization that have a ton of experience that you're not leveraging. Get them out there, talk to them about, how can we leverage like your experience, to our brand to lift that up. But yeah, always be learning. ABL. That's also one of my things is, I subscribe to all the industry publications. I don't read everything that comes across my inbox, but I'm definitely, reading headlines. And if something's interesting, I'll dig into it a little bit more. So it's just good to always keep your ear to the ground and, just and making sure you're staying on top of the trends. But in my mind, I also feel like, it's all about market research, understanding your audience, being authentic, and being strategic. So, and to me, those as a marketer, digital marketer, those things will probably never change.
I love that. That's amazing, and there's a little reassurance in that, because things are changing so much, and you have to learn and adapt to things, and keep an eye out, like you said, the way you are checking with headlines, digging a little deeper. But going back to some of those core things are consistent, and it goes
Mm-hmm.
back and are more important than ever on that being authentic, leaning into the authenticity and past experiences and the other experiences of people within your team. Lean into each other and have that, share your voices, and connect more deeply with your audience. It's incredible stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's like it seems so simple, but we can get so easily distracted sometimes, But I think that we can sometimes, because people get so distracted by all the new cool pretty things, that they're not they skip a step. And like in traditional marketing, if you have a formula and it works, like, if it's not broken, don't fix it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also don't stop testing new things.
Yeah, for sure. This is fantastic. For people that want to learn more or dive in a little deeper with you, where can they find you?
bohoseo.com, BOHO SEO.com. Yeah, that's my website. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Nicole Grodesky. I think I'm the only Nicole Grodesky on LinkedIn. So it should be hard to find me.
Love it. Well, thanks for everything you shared today. It was super helpful. And I think even selfishly, I just got to get a ton of good information out of this. So I appreciate everything you had to say. And I think a lot of the viewers and listeners will find value as well. So appreciate having you on.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. And it was awesome getting the time, hang out with you and share some knowledge. So thank you.
See you in the water.
All right.
Bye.